According to the U.S. military doctrine on psychological warfare, it states that the most effective way to subdue and control a large targeted population without actually physically fighting them is by perpetually inundating them with fraudulent, demoralizing propaganda about themselves. More specifically, with disinformation that misleads them to believe that their core problem is an internalized one. When people are made to believe that their core problem lies within themselves, this demoralizes them, divides them, and shifts their collective aggressions away from their enemies and redirected against themselves. It also makes them resentful towards their own group, and it makes them more compliant with the dominance of other groups over their lives. In fact, many will even prefer it. The similarities between this noted psychological warfare tactic and the experiences and conditions of Black people living under white dominance are far too great for us not to see that this is precisely what's being done to Black people. The general Black population doesn't know what's happening, and it doesn't even know it doesn't know. Noam Chomsky said that. Some things are so obvious, it's only by not critically thinking that it cannot be seen. When critically thinking, it then becomes very clear just how cartoonishly it actually is that virtually all information that Black people receive from white sources about ourselves are consistently negative and Black racially demoralizing. It's actually fraudulent propaganda that's designed to shape the collective minds of Black people in ways that benefits the white society. You know, when Black people limit our understanding of our plight to a biblical fairy tale and our understanding of our condition to a silly slave syndrome myth, we're actually making damn fools of ourselves. We must elevate our minds and learn the liberating truth of our plight and condition. The most potent weapon of the oppressors is the mind of the oppressed. This is not a cliche. It is a fact and a true social science that every Black person needs to take more seriously. Because when the past blatant methods used in the past for subjugating Black people became no longer morally and socially acceptable with the changing times, the white oppressors did not abandon their practice of developing tactics to subjugate Black people. They instead developed more sophisticated methods for meeting the objective. They now deploy psychological warfare against Black people. So therefore, the physical chains have been replaced by psychological chains. The U.S. media's constant racially devaluing depiction and distorted portrayal of its Black population that amplifies the negative to the point that it distorts reality is part of a carefully crafted, deliberately designed, massive Black debasing perception management system. The U.S. Department of Defense describes perception management as a type of psychological operation intended to provoke the behavior you want out of a given individual or target population collectively. It involves the providing or the discarding of information to influence the emotion, motives, and objective reasoning of a target population in ways that is favorable to the originator of the information. The DoD further describes these programs as being deployed by the transmission of one-sided messages, which may or may not be factual, as a form of communication to deliberately and systematically shape perceptions and direct behaviors of a targeted population to achieve responses that further the desires intended by the government. This practice of psychological warfare has been used for several decades. It has also been used for controlling how people view political events. Although perception management were originally supposed to be directed at foreign audiences, as specifically designed in DoD, critics of the U.S. Department of Defense charged that these programs evolved from military applications against foreign enemies to now being deployed domestically to control our society. These practices were refined by the U.S. intelligence service as they tried to manipulate foreign population, but it eventually made its way into the U.S. domestic politics as a tool for manipulating public opinion and perception. This Black racially debasing perception management system is deployed like a massive media marketing campaign that subjects the black masses to receiving only the fraudulent black racially information about ourselves. Its objective is to adversely manipulate and shape the minds of the collective conscious of the black population. No group can be constantly subjected to receiving only negative information about themselves and not be adversely affected. Its black demeaning propagandizing TV documentaries and fake news reports are designed to frame the myth of white racial superiority and white intellectual superiority over black people. It also depicts the endemic problem of black America as being rooted primarily within black people themselves instead of emanating from social inequalities. This daily assault upon the black psyche is purposely designed to engender internalized feelings of self-contemptuous responses within the black population that hinders the black unity, upward mobility, and manipulates black people to accept white dominance over our lives. It also reinforces seemingly preconditioned responses of resentment and prejudicial images of black people in the majority population, thereby creating a false impression of wanton black criminality and violence. This creates conditioned responses in the population at large to unfold against black people without opposition or resentment. I realize that this information may be difficult for many to accept since it directly contradicts many of our established beliefs. However, the term perception management is not new to the lexicon of government languages. It is a proven system that uses the national media's proven mass manipulating ability to provoke targeted populations to engage in behaviors that the government wants them to. Today, what are often deemed as being credible news stories are often totally made up perception management narratives made to push a hidden government agenda. The government frequently conduct extensive perception management campaigns through the national media to influence the perception and climate of the nation towards the attainment of its governmental objectives. The U.S. government, like most Western governments, has quite a long history of conducting extensive campaigns of media-driven strategic psychological warfare operations to influence the perception and climate of the nation towards its governmental objectives. According to an article written in the New York Times, since the beginning in the 1950s, more than 800 news and public information organizations and individuals carried out assignments to manage the public perception of the CIA. By the mid-80s, CIA Director William Casey had turned the practice into a covert public diplomacy apparatus designed to sell governmental objectives. It often involved what they call white propaganda stories, secretly financed by the government, but it also went black, pushing false storylines. This is our hidden reality of what's being done to us. We have to elevate our minds above a biblical fairy tale and a city slave syndrome myth. This is our reality. One love and peace.